Hey guys, Kyle here with Gnarly Knives, and I have a great knife for you today. I'm super excited about this knife. This is the Spyderco Chaparral, the FRN version, the lightweight. Goes for about 95 bucks. Actually, before we go any further, why don't you pause the video? You should go run out and buy this knife, and I will wait for you to do that. Did you get the knife? Sweet. Alright, here we go. So just really quick, let's just pump out these specs on it. So you have a 2.8 inch blade with a 2.2 inch cutting edge. Sorry about that. I had to think about it. You have CTS XHP blade steel. You have a 2mm spine. This knife is so slicey, but we'll get into that. We'll talk about that in a minute. And then you have the FRN handles, very similar to your Delica. So if you have a Delica or any of the other FRN knives, the Endura, the lightweight Manic, so on and so forth, you will be familiar with this handle material. It is really good material. I do like it. And it is also a back lock. So just like your Delica, you lock right in the back. Back lock. Alright, now this blade, I cannot express enough how slicey this is and how thin it is. Like I said, it is a 2mm blade, so it is a little bit thinner than your Delica, but, oh, look at that, see that? Ooh, it's a back lock, but it closes like a compression lock. How does he do that? Is that a back lock Delica? Yeah, it is. Oh, I thought it was a compression lock. Sorry. But with this blade, it's 2mm thick, but it tapers all the way down. When you get to that point, that is a needle point. So it actually lends itself really great for if you do work with wood or metal, anything like that. You can get your splinters and slivers. This knife, because the tip is so thin, it works itself right in, and you can get the slivers out very, very easily. This knife, what I really like to, weight isn't really an issue, but it is a very, very light knife. The knife, it's just over 2 ounces. I think it's 2.1 ounces. Very light. It's even lighter than your Delica being about a little less than 2.5 ounces. Now this blade, what I really like about it too, it is along with the blade being thin, your handle is very thin. This thing really does disappear right in your pocket, and it has a great deep carry Spyderco wire clip to go with that. So when it's in your pocket, only this much is sticking out, and then the wire clip really doesn't look like a knife clip. It almost kind of looks like a pen, to be completely honest, versus if you have your Delica, so your Delica's in the pocket, it's poking up about that much, and then you have the spoon clip. This definitely looks like a knife. I love these clips. I know a lot of people aren't super nuts on them, but I personally do like them a lot. I just really love these wire clips. Man. I really can't find too many bad things at all about this knife. I mean, it is very comfortable in the hand. You do have good enough area to put your fingers when you're holding on the handle, but you can see it does also have a finger choil on it, so you can choke right up on it, and this thing fits so well in the hand. It is very comfortable for its size, but to kind of give you an idea as well how small it is, I mean, the blade in the hand, we'll just put the whole knife. You can that just fits right in the hand. It is such a small knife, but it is so comfortable. I really enjoy that shape a lot. Now, like I said, so the price of this knife, yeah, it's about 95 bucks, and it sounds like a lot, but and not knocking it at all. But I mean, you can get the Delica. The Delica's about 75 bucks, So I mean, for an extra 20 bucks, you're getting, a much higher end blade steel. Yeah, you're getting the same handle material, you're getting a little better clip. Fit and finish on it is a little bit nicer. This comes out of their Taiwan factory. This one's the Seki City in Japan factory. They're both really good factories, but Taichung, this one, I definitely noticed it having a little better quality to it, but it is one thing I do like as well. The back spacer on the handle on this is actually metal, whereas it's just the more FRN on your Delica. And this does have full scale liners. Like this, even though it's a small knife, it is a tough little knife. You can definitely get some work done with that. And this thing just rips through cardboard. I'll even show you here real quick. Just let's hit the trail. Like, that is insane. And the steel really isn't that bad to sharpen. A lot of people talk about, oh, sharpening at CTS XHP. It's really not that bad. You know, it just takes, no steel is harder to sharpen than others. It just takes a little longer, but it stays sharp so much longer. I mean, yes, and probably less than half the time. You can go from dull to razor shaving sharp with VG10, which is a great steel. I love VG10. I really love VG10. But the CTS XHP, I honestly, it feels like I'm getting double, if not more, the edge retention out of it. So, I guess it's kind of the, like with car oils, you can go, you pay more for synthetic, you can go about double the miles with synthetic. It takes longer to sharpen, but you get a lot more edge retention out of this blade steel. And then being so thin, it still works out. Even when it does get kind of dull, you can still get really good slicing potential because the blade is just so thin itself, not even counting about the edge. Once we get to that edge, man, the only thing though too, is kind of getting to where not super nuts on with, well, I've noticed with the back lock itself, it does take a good amount of force, so I was kind of messing around with this, doing the, oh yeah, able to close it all fun like with the Delica. But the Delica does not take nearly as much force. I mean, I can press it with just my index finger. Like, this is as hard as I can, and I'm like, I cannot lift that enough to close the blade. So, which generally, yeah, is absolutely fine, but, it can hurt your thumb if you're playing with it, or if you're opening and closing it a lot in a short period. It will dig into your thumb a bit. That might not be an issue. I mean, honestly, I love this thing so much, I do want to get some of the other handles, so, I mean, that's not really a huge concern. I have kind of callous thumbs anyway, but it is just something to note and consider. What is cool about it, too, is you can, do the fun flicks with it. The knife, it is pretty tight. I mean, I have not taken it apart yet, cleaned it, or just messed with the pivot at all. But what I like about this, it is very much, the kind of traditional blade. You can, do the two-hand close. It is possible to close it with one hand. But what I kind of like about it is just like that. It's that old school style of knife, but with having the modern materials. It's one thing I really love with, the Delica is, another good example of that. And, well, especially, too, because I have the ZDP 189 version of the Enduro 4. It's a very modern material, but still a very old school classic style of knife, or at least knife lock. I will probably mess with this whenever I do take it apart, kind of see how that goes. But, I mean, if you use a good amount of force, you can flip the blade right open, and it is very possible. Only downside, though, because I do this a lot with with backlock knives, I don't always necessarily do the, flick it down on the finger. What I'll do is on my shorts, or pants or whatever, when I close it, I'll do it like that, but because that tip is so thin and sharp and pointy, good chance of poking holes in your clothes. Not really an issue to me, might be to you. Just another thing kind of throw out there if you choose to close your blades in that fashion as I do. Man, what else is there to say about this? I've had this knife for probably 3-4 months now. And I really do like it a lot. I don't carry it as often as some of the other ones. But lately, I don't know, I've been wanting to carry it. I mean, I do have a rotation of probably 8 or 10 knives that'll generally be in and out of my pocket. I mean, as I've said before, the Paramilitary 2 is probably in my pocket the most, but, I love that knife, but I have so many other knives, sometimes I like to give them all attention, if you will. Now, this is not the original factory edge, so I know when I was slicing the cardboard and everything, I have never gotten a Spyderco that has not been shaving sharp. And I'm talking like from the factory, brand new. I haven't put my edge on it yet. I have, just off the top of my head, guessing 7 to 8 Spydercos. Every single one was razor shaving sharp when I got it out of the box. Compared to a lot of, all the different knife companies I have, I probably have 24 different knife companies' knives, if you will. Spyderco is probably number one, or at the very least, I would say in the top 3, with their sharpness on their knives from the factory. Just, I sharpen knives. I like doing it. I love putting my own edges on them. Um, this is a knife you can definitely get some work done. You don't always need to have that 4-inch blade. Especially too, depending if you go any more in the city and stuff like that. Areas where they might have more knife restrictions, or just getting your chops busted if, for whatever reason, someone notices it or sees it or whatever. Um, I would recommend this knife to just about anyone. I would say everyone, but I know some people will definitely have trouble. Not just because, it is sharp, kind of hurts your thumb opening the blade, but because it does take a lot of force. I've had my fiance mess with this before, and it just, her trying to close it, she really has a lot of trouble. She just ends up handing it to me for me to close. So I wouldn't say it is for everyone. Just people, if you don't mind having to use a little more force, or, I would say if you're in the store and you see one of these, I got one of these at a store, or I got this at a store, versus online. Play with it, see what you think, how that is. Because like I said, my fiance, and she's little, she's 5 foot, maybe 110 pounds, soaking wet, and she had a lot of trouble getting this closed. It would be something I would say, if you know someone that has one, see if you can mess around with it, carry it for a couple days, or at the very least, if you see it in a store, just play with it, see what you think. How do you like the opening and closing? It's just things to consider. Other than that, I would say this knife would be perfect for everyone, great in size, and because it is so light and small, I know usually, people, you can carry it in your pocket, obviously, whatever, with a clip, but even if you take it off, you want to keep it in a purse or something, anywhere, really, it's that small. This would actually be great for putting in small kits. I know some people, they love making kits or whatever. I think something like this, especially with that thin tip, the way it lends itself, and it is, it's basically just a high-end stainless steel version of D2, but it is a stainless steel. I think something like this would be great, even in a first aid kit, if you wanted to throw $100 knife in there, but this actually, I think, would be very good for that. It's a small knife, it won't take up much room, and, you can definitely get some stuff done if you have to cut bandages, tape, anything. Or like I said, if you're using it to dig something out, or, it's not something everybody would be willing to do, but, if you had, a gnarly infection, maybe you had to lance it, or whatever, get all the nasty stuff out so you could bandage it, it's not something I would love to do, but if I had to do it with any knife, it would be this one. But, guys, I think that pretty much covers everything there. I hope you got some good information out of it. I hope you can see how excited I am about this knife. I can't believe I didn't make a video about it sooner. Like I said, I've had it for probably about 3, maybe 4 months. So I hope you see the value in it, and I hope you're glad that you bought yours, because if you're still with me now, I'm imagining, or here in this video anyway, I'm imagining you already went out and bought the knife and paused it, right? If not, you should definitely consider it. If you have the cash and you're looking to get something decent, but you're not decent, something great, but at a decent price. So you guys have a good rest of your day. If you get this, you definitely will not be let down. Have a great day, guys. Remember, stay sharp, keep carving, hang in there.